Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next hour, India and Singapore elevate ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets his counterpart Lawrence Wong. Both sides ink 4 pacts ranging from semiconductors to skill development. Another school shooting shakes the US. Gunning at a Georgia high school leaves 4 people dead. 14-year-old suspect is taken in custody and will be charged as an adult. President Joe Biden calls for common-sense gun safety legislation. Benjamin Netanyahu reiterates that Israel will not leave Gaza's Philadelphia corridor until it's secure. The Hamas says that the move is aimed at thwarting agreement. Sources say the US is pushing a new plan to break the deadlock.
Conditions that we shall have for a permanent ceasefire must include a situation where the Philadelphia corridor cannot be perforated.
Upsets continue to rule the roost at the US Open as world number 1 Iga Swiatek is sent crashing out by Jessica Pegula. Pegula will now face Czech Karolina Muchova in her first Grand Slam semi-final. And India's stellar show goes on at the Paris Paralympics. Harvinder wins India's first gold in archery. Dharmveer and Pranav Surma add a gold and a silver in F51 club throw. The medals tally climbs to 24. First up, a new chapter has been written in the India-Singapore ties with the establishment of a comprehensive strategic partnership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Singapore counterpart Lawrence Wong held a productive bilateral meeting at Singapore's Parliament House. Besides agreeing to elevate the ties, the two leaders extensively reviewed various facets of the bilateral relationship. Taking stock of the robust progress in economic ties, the leaders called for further expansion of trade and investment flows between the two countries. And the leaders also reviewed existing cooperation in the fields of defense and security, maritime domain awareness, education, artificial intelligence, fintech, new technology domains, science and technology, as well as knowledge partnership. The two leaders called for strengthening connectivity between the two countries to enhance economic and people-to-people ties. They also called for acceleration in green corridor projects. They also discussed the outcome of the second India-Singapore Ministerial Roundtable held in Singapore in August this year.
एक्सेलेंसी, गर्मजोशी भरे स्वागत के लिए मैं आपका हार्दिक धन्यवाद करता हूं। आपके प्रधानमंत्री पद ग्रहण करने के बाद ये हमारी पहली मुलाकात है। मेरी तरफ से आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई और हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। मुझे विश्वास है 4G के नेतृत्व में सिंगापुर और अधिक तेजी से प्रगति करेगा। एक्सेलेंसी, सिंगापुर केवल एक पार्टनर देश नहीं है। सिंगापुर हर विकासशील देश के लिए एक प्रेरणा है। हम भी भारत में अनेकों सिंगापुर बनाना चाहते हैं और मुझे खुशी है कि हम इस दिशा में मिलकर प्रयास कर रहे हैं। हमारे बीच जो मिनिस्टरियल राउंड टेबल बनी है वो एक पाथ ब्रेकिंग मैकेनिज्म है।
And through these kind of deliberations, India and Singapore have also exchanged 4 documents in the fields of digital technologies, semiconductor ecosystem, health and medicine, as well as education. Let me now quickly tell you the benefits of these agreements. Well, an MoU in the field of digital technologies will facilitate closer cooperation between India and Singapore in the areas of digital technologies such as DPI, cybersecurity, 5G, and emerging technologies such as supercomputing, quantum computing, and artificial intelligence. The second MoU, if we could come to that as well, has been inked on India-Singapore Semiconductor Ecosystem Partnership. Under this, India and Singapore will cooperate in the areas of semiconductor cluster development, cultivation of talent in semicon design and manufacturing. Dialogue mechanisms have been set up under this MoU will facilitate investments by Singapore semicon companies in India. The third MoU is related to the field of health and medicine. This aims to promote closer cooperation in the areas of human resource development in healthcare and pharmaceutical sector. It will complement efforts to promote Indian healthcare professionals in Singapore. And the fourth and final agreement is linked to educational cooperation and skill development. India and Singapore have active collaboration in the area of skill development. This MoU will complement those ongoing initiatives. And earlier, ahead of their discussions, Prime Minister Modi was accorded a warm reception, ceremonial reception at Singapore's Parliament House. And the PM's visit to the Singapore Parliament House also saw him signing the visitors' book there with his counterpart looking on, standing right besides him. The Prime Minister also met Senior Minister Lee Hsien Loong. The two leaders discussed various aspects of India-Singapore friendship. The Singapore Senior Minister also hosted a lunch for Prime Minister Modi. The Indian Prime Minister will also meet Emeritus Senior Minister Goh Chok Tong in Singapore. He will also call on Singapore's President Tharman Shanmugaratnam, who is of Indian origin. This is Prime Minister Modi's fifth visit to Singapore as Prime Minister. He was last there as part of the Southeast Asian. He was there in Singapore last in 2018. And boosting ties in the areas of advanced manufacturing, Prime Minister Modi, along with his Singapore counterpart, explored synergies between the two countries at a semiconductor manufacturing facility in Singapore. The PM and his counterpart, PM Wong, visited AEM Holdings Limited, a leading Singapore company in semiconductors and electronics sector. The two leaders held discussions with stakeholders on opportunities for collaboration between India and Singapore in the field of semiconductors. Also at the AEM facility, students from the World Skills Centre of the Indian state of Odisha welcomed Prime Minister Modi. The students are attending the Singapore internship program at AEM. And DD India's Akshay Dongre spoke to the chairperson of AEM Holdings, the semiconductor testing company that was visited by Prime Minister Modi in Singapore today. Chairman Luk Wai San talked about the future collaboration between India and Singapore on semiconductors.
The Prime Minister of India is visiting Singapore, and one of the key highlight of this visit is going to be technology of semiconductors. In fact, we are at the AM Holdings and we have the chairperson with us. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with us. How do you see the future as far as the relation between the two countries are concerned and the role that semiconductors can play?
Well, if you look at the Indian diaspora across the world, it's very clear to see that the leaders in semiconductors are there. How we can collaborate, obviously, this change in a way that impacts Moore's law and advanced packaging creates opportunity for both nations. Prime Minister Modi's visit here is very apt because that signals that symbiotic relationship where it starts with the business relationship, the investments. So all stakeholders have to benefit in these relationships.
So you are part of the semiconductor industry in Singapore. How is the industry looking at the India's push as far as the ambitions to become a manufacturing hub?
Well, it's absolutely the right push. There are two ways, and I call it two types of investments you got to make. One is the journey that Singapore took in terms of first getting into electronics manufacturing, assembly, making sure that the electronics demand is local in terms of its production, and then bringing the chips in from a logistics supply chain perspective. At the same time, building up the infrastructure for more advanced semiconductor manufacturing, which requires clean power, water, and then of course the ecosystem of chemical producers as well. So that will take time. Then there's the human capital development, right? So there has to be the technicians, the supervisors, the people who understand how to problem solve from a process improvement perspective and continuous improvement. That all needs to be built up in scale as well.
In the last few decades that we have seen, there have been only limited countries that have been seen as the manufacturing hubs or places of innovation as far as the semiconductor technology is concerned, most of them located in Southeast Asia or in the region. But now new players are coming up. So how can the collaboration take place, especially when we talk about India? What kind of potential that you see in the Indian market as well as the Indian manufacturing industry?
Well, it's part of a new globalization, right? So you see a lot of high-end electronics, mobile companies moving to India. It's all public, right? They're shifting to India. So that shift is actually a very important end market because they are consumers of semiconductors.
Absolutely.
So the more electronics assembly and production that India has, the more it will have an end market for semiconductors.
Right.
So you got to think about that ecosystem because logistics also plays a part in it.
Chairman of AEM Holdings and talking to us about the semiconductor market that is its present and the future of collaboration that can take place between India and Singapore as far as the semiconductor industry is concerned. With camera person SP Dubey, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
And still to come on DD India News are UN Nuclear Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi says Europe's biggest nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia may have to be demolished. World Health Organization hails the success of the first phase of polio vaccination campaign in Gaza. Preparations are on for round 2 of the vaccination in southern Gaza. And 3,000 acres of forest burns in California with a status of 0% contained.
New challenges need new strategies, and technology is already impacting the way we live and we farm.
Based on the spikes and insights which our algorithms suggest, we alert the farmers or whoever the warehouse owner is about what exactly is happening in which part of your warehouse.
The weather in Meghalaya is definitely one of the center points of how we design these systems. And let's look at all of this together in terms of what are the solar irradiance that they're getting. Try and design a system that is designed to work in that situation.
It's a pretty good living. Greenhouses have improved the lives of 80 or 90% of Almerians.
Our supply chain is farm to door. We supply traders directly, bringing benefits to both.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, horror struck the Appalachian High School in Georgia on Wednesday when a 14-year-old student opened fire, killing 2 students and 2 teachers before surrendering. The law enforcement officials said the teenage suspect surrendered immediately and will be charged as an adult. The accused was investigated last year for threatening to carry out a school shooting. The shooting was the first of the new school year in the United States and served as a stark reminder of the threat of gun violence in schools and colleges across the nation just ahead of the presidential elections, barely 2 months to go. Now, the US has seen hundreds of shootings at schools and colleges in the past 2 decades, with the deadliest resulting in over 30 deaths at Virginia Tech in 2007. The White House said in a statement that President Joe Biden had been briefed on the shooting and his administration will continue coordinating with federal and state as well as local officials. White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre said school shootings are not normal and called on Congress to pass legislation to ban assault weapons and pass red flag laws.
This is not normal. Students and teachers deserve to know that their schools are safe. They should focus on learning, not lockdowns. While the President and Vice President have taken historic action to reduce gun violence, more must be done to keep our schools and communities safe. We continue to call on Congress to do something, We need universal background checks. We need to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, require safe storage of firearms.
And U.S. Vice President as well as Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris called the shooting at Georgia High School as a senseless tragedy during a campaign stop in New Hampshire.
This is just a senseless tragedy on top of so many senseless tragedies. And it's just outrageous that every day in our country, in the United States of America, that parents have to send their children to school worried about whether or not their child will come home alive. It's senseless. It is, we've got to stop it. And we have to end this epidemic of gun violence in our country once and for all.
Let's get you some of America's deadliest classroom gun massacres in the last quarter century alone. On the 20th of April in 1999, 2 teenagers killed 12 students and 1 teacher at the Columbine High School while wounding 24 others. This followed the shooting becoming a pivotal moment in school violence and influenced discussions on gun control. Then around 8 years later, on the 16th of April 2007, a South Korean student killed 32 people and wounded 33 before he himself committed suicide at Virginia Tech. This massacre highlighted severe issues in campus security and mental health. Then in 2012, a 20-year-old shooter killed 20 children and 6 adults at Sandy Hook Elementary School before taking his own life. 6 years later, on Valentine's Day, a former student killed 14 students and 3 staff members at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. A 17-year-old student killed 10 people, including 8 students at Santa Fe High School in Texas in 2018. An 18-year-old killed 19 students and 2 teachers at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde in Texas more recently on the 24th of May in 2022. And the delay in police response, with officers waiting for over an hour outside the classrooms, faced heavy criticism in this particular incident. And shifting focus to updates on U.S. presidential elections, well, first up, the news coming in from sources that Democratic candidate Kamala Harris has agreed to the debate rules, including muted microphones when a candidate is not speaking. The debate, scheduled for the 10th of September and hosted by ABC News, marks the first face-off between Harris and Republican Donald Trump since Harris replaced Joe Biden on the Democratic ticket following his disappointing performance in June in a previous debate. The Harris campaign, eager for a fair exchange, is pushing for moments when the mics could be unmuted to allow for direct responses. This change has invigorated the Democratic campaign, and according to recent polls, Harris has now taken the lead over Trump in several national surveys, a shift attributed to her rising prominence. Meanwhile, Republican candidate Donald Trump's presidential campaign announced on Wednesday that it raised $130 million in August, ending the month with $295 million in cash reserves. This figure, while impressive, marked a slight dip from July, when the campaign collected $138.7 million following a dramatic assassination attempt at Donald Trump. At the end of July, the campaign had $327 million in hand. The July fundraising surge came amidst intense scrutiny and challenges. Notably, the Democratic campaign led by Vice President Kamala Harris outpaced Trump's fundraising efforts during that period, highlighting a competitive financial landscape in the presidential race. Republican former Congresswoman Liz Cheney said on Wednesday she will vote for Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris, calling Donald Trump a danger. Liz revealed her decision during a panel at Duke University and reiterated her warnings of the dangers of a second Trump term. Citing the threat posed by Donald Trump, Cheney emphasized the importance of preventing his return to power. She declared her support for Harris, urging voters to avoid write-in candidates, particularly in crucial swing states. U.S. Republican vice presidential nominee Senator J.D. Vance held a campaign event in Mesa, Arizona on Wednesday. Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz and Vance have agreed to a 1st of October debate on CBS News. Vance criticized Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris and rival Tim Walz.
I just want something very simple, and I know Donald Trump wants something very simple. If you work hard and play by the rules, you ought to be able to afford a home and a nice life for your family. It's very simple. This is not like crazy, you gotta save the world and fix every problem. We just want Americans to be able to live a decent life in the country their parents and grandparents built. It's not so much to ask, we just gotta fire our broken leadership and get somebody who knows what they're doing back in the White House.
Now, the U.S. on Wednesday filed money laundering charges against 2 employees of Russian state media network RT, previously known as Russia Today, for what officials said was a scheme to hire an American company to produce online content to influence the 2024 presidential race. Justice Department officials said the 2 employees used shell companies and fake personas to pay $10 million to an unnamed Tennessee company to produce online videos aimed at amplifying political divisions in the U.S. The U.S. Treasury and State Departments also announced actions against targeting RT, including the network's top editor, Margarita Simonia. U.S. officials said Russia's goal is to exacerbate U.S. political divisions and weaken public support for American aid to Ukraine in its war with Russia.
We allege that as part of that effort, RT and its employees, including the defendants, implemented a nearly $10 million scheme to fund and direct a Tennessee-based company to publish and disseminate content deemed favorable to the Russian government. The subject matter and content of many of the videos published by the company were often consistent with Russia's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions. In a separate enforcement action, the Justice Department is seizing 32 internet domains that the Russian government and the Russian-sponsored actors have used to engage in a covert campaign to interfere and influence the outcome of our country's elections.
Updates now from the Israel-Hamas conflict. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Wednesday that Tel Aviv will only agree to a permanent ceasefire in Gaza that guarantees the border area between southern Gaza and Egypt could never be used as a lifeline for Hamas. Netanyahu repeated his outright rejection of a withdrawal from the Philadelphia corridor in the first phase of a deal expected to last 42 days, saying international pressure would make it effectively impossible to return. Netanyahu also said the Hamas had rejected all elements of a proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza that would help facilitate the release of the remaining hostages.
We're committed to achieving our goals. All 3 goals: destroying Hamas's military and governing capabilities, releasing all our hostages, and ensuring that Gaza does not become a threat to Israel anymore. And all these require standing firm on the things that will ensure the achievement of these goals. And with God's help, and with our people's will, and with the courage of our soldiers, we'll achieve all goals. And all 3 of those goals, all 3 of them, go through Israel's control of the Philadelphia corridor. And it's obvious why. You want to destroy Hamas's military and governing capabilities, you can't let Hamas rearm. It's obvious. So you have to control the corridor.
And in turn, the Hamas has accused Netanyahu over his statement saying Israel's Prime Minister sought to thwart an agreement by insisting that Tel Aviv will not withdraw from the Philadelphia corridor in southern Gaza. The Hamas also said there was no need for new ceasefire proposals for Gaza and pressure should be put on Israel to agree to a U.S. plan that the Islamist group had already accepted. The Hamas said it accepted a 2nd of July proposal which had been put forward by the U.S. But the U.S. is expected to present a new truce proposal aimed at breaking an impasse, a deadlock between Hamas and Israel. Since U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's latest tour of the region last month failed to produce a breakthrough, mediators have kept up working-level discussions and those talks are continuing. Now, the new proposal aims to work out the major sticking points between months-long impasse in talks mediated by the U.S., Qatar and Egypt, seeking a truce in the conflict between Israel and Hamas. Negotiators are still trying to hammer out solutions to two main obstacles. The first U.S. official said a new draft accord could be produced next week or even sooner, and the revised plan would not be a final take-it-or-leave-it offer, and that Washington would continue working towards a ceasefire if it fell through. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara on Wednesday to discuss the crisis in Gaza, Libya and Somalia. This is Sisi's first such presidential visit in 12 years. The two leaders exchanged handshakes and participated in a photo op before sitting down for a press conference where Sisi spoke of the unity of Egypt and Turkey's position calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. Turkey has also condemned Israel for its war against Hamas's terrorists that has devastated Gaza. It sent thousands of tons of aid to Egypt for Palestinians and praised Cairo's humanitarian efforts and role as negotiator in Gaza truce talks. Erdogan had traveled to Cairo in February, his first trip to Egypt since 2012. Their ties had been severely strained for a decade earlier. Now, the World Health Organization is preparing to begin polio vaccination in southern Gaza from Thursday. Over the first 3 days, more than 187,000 children up to 10 years old were vaccinated in central Gaza.
On Sunday, WHO and our partners began a polio vaccination campaign in Gaza. Over the first 3 days, we vaccinated more than 187,000 children up to 10 years old in central Gaza. Today, we're preparing the logistics, cold chains, teams, and communications to begin vaccination in southern Gaza.
Updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict now. The UN Nuclear Agency's chief, Rafael Grossi, visited the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in southeast Ukraine on Wednesday. The director of the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, and his team inspected one of the cooling towers of the plant that had caught fire last month. After the inspection, Grossi said the situation there is very fragile and the plant would probably have to be demolished.
We have a very fragile situation here because of the military operations. I understand also, I was informed that today there was some shelling not far from here. We were able to determine at least that this fire was not caused by a combustion at the base of the cooling tower. This we were able to determine quite clearly.
Now, hundreds of people remain under evacuation orders in California's Sierra County days after a wildfire erupted in Northern California's Tahoe National Forest. The Bear Fire, which started on the 2nd of September, which is the day before that, has burned 3,280 acres in the Sierra Brooks area of the forest in Sierra County as of Wednesday evening. The U.S. Forest Service said they expect the fire to continue to grow. The cause of this fire is not yet known. And still to come on DD India News Hour. The first ever International Solar Festival organized by the International Solar Alliance is being held in New Delhi. India is celebrating Teachers' Day today on the birth anniversary of its first Vice President and second President, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. And we'll also tell you about an Indian child prodigy who made Guinness World Record for writing bilingual books on Sanskrit shloks.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, the inaugural International Solar Festival 2024, hosted by the International Solar Alliance, is being held in New Delhi. The event aims to advance global solar energy through dialogue, policy improvements and supply chain enhancements. India's Prime Minister Modi has delivered a special message on the occasion and lauded the ISA, saying that it has inspired policy and action.
In such a short time, the membership of ISA has reached a milestone of 100 countries. Additionally, 19 more countries are ratifying the framework agreement for attaining full membership. The growth of this organization is important for the vision of one world, one sun, one grid. Friends, in the past few years, India has taken many massive strides in green energy. We were the first G20 nation to achieve the Paris commitments in renewable energy. The remarkable growth of solar energy is key reason in making this possible.
Further, speaking on the International Solar Festival being held in New Delhi, Prime Minister Modi said that this International Solar Festival brings the world together to celebrate the sun's impact, highlighting that the most popular mantras in India's ancient texts, the Vedas, is about the sun.
The Vedas were texts composed thousands of years ago. One of the most popular mantras of the Vedas is about the sun. Even today, millions of Indians chant it daily. Many cultures across the world have respected the sun in their own ways. Most regions also have festivals related to the sun. This International Solar Festival brings the whole world together to celebrate the sun's impact. This is a festival that will help us build a better planet.
India is celebrating Teachers' Day today. This day marks the birth anniversary of the first Vice President and the second President of India, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. He was a philosopher, scholar and an exemplary teacher. He dedicated his life towards education and shaping up the youth of the country. He famously said that the end product of education should be a free, creative man who can battle against historical circumstances and adversities of nature. And Prime Minister Modi has extended his best wishes on Teachers' Day to all, an occasion to express gratitude to all teachers who shape young minds. He paid tribute to Dr. Radhakrishnan on his birth anniversary as well.
I believe when a teacher learns, a nation leads. टीचर की सबसे बड़ी जो स्ट्रेंथ होती है वो पॉजिटिविटी होती है, सकारात्मक। और एक टीचर की भूमिका है जो व्यक्ति को रोशनी दिखाने की काम को करता है। मैं मन से मानता हूं टीचर सर्वाधिक देश को बनाने में योगदान देने वाला ऐसा काम आपके पास है। आप देश बदल सकते हैं, जीवन बदल सकते हैं, आप सदी बदल सकते हैं, ये सामर्थ्य आपके अंदर होता है। विद्यार्थी का शिक्षक के प्रति आदर, शिक्षक का शिक्षा के प्रति समर्पण और विद्यार्थी और शिक्षक के बीच में एक अपनत्व का भाव, यही एक जोड़ी होती है जो जीवन जीने की कला भी सिखाती है और सपने संजोने की आदत भी बनाती है। देश आज भारत के पूर्व राष्ट्रपति डॉक्टर राधाकृष्णन जी को उनके जन्म दिवस पर आदरांजलि दे रहा है।
Let's now get to some weather updates. The Indian state of Gujarat experienced heavy rainfall since Monday. Southern Gujarat experienced heavy downpours affecting Surat, Valsad, Tapi, Dangs, Narmada and Bharuch. Over 30,000 people have been impacted by the flooding. Tragically, 2 Indian Coast Guard officials lost their lives during a rescue operation near Porbandar seashore. For Thursday, India's Met Department has issued yellow alerts in the regions of Gujarat, that is Surat, Valsad, Navsari, Tapi, Bharuch, as well as other areas. Also, heavy rains are expected through Saturday, that is till the 7th of September, according to the Met Department. The Indian Army is organizing Him Dronathon near Leh in Ladakh this month. Him Dronathon 2 will focus on drone solutions for Indian Army for high altitude areas. Envisaged as an opportunity for the drone industry in India to showcase the capabilities of their drone solutions for high altitude areas, Him Dronathon is planned to be conducted under actual terrain and environmental conditions at altitudes of 4,000 to 5,000 meters.
We really expect this time maximum possible participation. In fact, we have already received about more than 25 confirmations from the industry so far, and we are expecting many more. And I think now with FICCI having announced that special incentive being given to the startups, I am sure that some more startups will join us for this event. And we are looking at 5 different categories of drones here. That is surveillance drones, swarm drones, loiter munition, logistic drones, first-person view drones, and say drones with all kinds of the payloads, maybe in terms of synthetic aperture radar.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the country as well. Chief Minister of the North-Eastern Indian state of Assam, Himant Biswa Sarma, has inaugurated the material recovery facility and waste-to-compost plant. Built at a cost of 5.75 crore rupees, the facility will be used for scientific disposal and effective management of waste. Deputy Chief Minister of the East Indian state of Odisha, Kanak Vardhan Singh Deo, flagged off inaugural export of dragon fruit from the Biju Patnaik International Airport. He praised the hard work of farmers in reaching international markets and marked the event as a significant milestone in the state's agricultural journey. A 6-year-old girl from the North Indian state of Punjab, Anaisha Budhiraj, has achieved the Guinness World Record by writing 2 bilingual books on Sanskrit shloks. The books, titled My Journey of Learning 100 Shloks and How to Learn 100 Shloks Easily, have earned her this prestigious recognition. And on the occasion of National Teachers' Day, the Amrit Udyan at India's President's House is exclusively open for teachers. Apart from this free shuttle bus service from Central Secretariat Metro Station to the destination is also being made available for their convenience. Visitors can book their slots on the official website of President's House. And still to come on DD India News Hour, celebrities from around the globe, including Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix, dazzle on the red carpet in the city of canals. And the 49th edition of the Toronto Film Festival has returned on Thursday after 2 tumultuous years of Hollywood disruptions. Also, as India celebrates Teachers' Day, we get you some of the reactions from teachers themselves. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. And now it's time to get you some sporting updates. In a stunning upset, world number 1 Iga Swiatek crashed out of the US Open after losing to Jessica Pegula in the quarterfinals. World number 6 Pegula won 6-2, 6-4 in just under 90 minutes, setting up a semi-final against Karolina Muchova of the Czech Republic. Pegula is the 4th American to reach the semi-finals of this year's tournament in New York, joining Emma Navarro, Frances Tiafoe and Taylor Fritz. It's the first time that she's broken through the Grand Slam quarterfinal after 6 attempts, including a loss to Swiatek in US Open 2 years ago. Pegula will face, as I said, Karolina Muchova in Thursday's semi-final match. And in the men's singles, world number 1 Jannik Sinner defeated former champion Daniil Medvedev in a roller-coaster US Open match to advance to the semi-final against Jack Draper. Neither men were able to find their best tennis at the same time, as the highly anticipated bout ended with a 6-2, 1-6, 6-1, 6-4 score in the 23-year-old's favour. There is now guaranteed to be a first-time US Open winner in both the men's and women's singles, with American Taylor Fritz and Frances Tiafoe contesting the second men's semi-final. Sinner will now clash with his doubles partner Jack Draper in the semi-finals. And Jack Draper's breakout performance at the US Open soared to new heights as the British star battled past Alex de Minaur to advance to his first ever Grand Slam semi-final. The 22-year-old Brit battled through injury concerns to become the first ever British man to reach the semi-finals since Andy Murray in 2012. Draper expressed his excitement about playing in the Arthur Ashe Stadium and said it to be in the biggest court in the world is a dream come true for him. Draper awaits a showdown with with Jannik Sinner. Let's now take up all the updates related to the Paris Paralympics as well. Now in para-athletics, Dharamveer clinched the gold medal while his compatriot Pranav Surma bagged the silver medal in a double podium finish in the men's club throw F51. Dharamveer finished on top with best throw of 34.92 meters, shattering the Asian record. Pranav, on the other hand, bagged the silver medal with a best throw of 34.59 meters. India scripted history by securing its first ever double podium finish in a track and field event at the Paralympics. The gold medal won by Dharamveer was also India's first medal in club throw in the history of quadrennial sporting spectacle. And India's Harvinder Singh also bagged. Let me now take you back to our top story, where Prime Minister Modi has been visiting Singapore and he's had very fruitful talks with his counterpart there. But now these are images of Prime Minister Modi meeting with Singapore's first elected president, and he's the president of Indian origin, Tharman Shanmugaratnam. That is also a scheduled meeting that was there, already penciled into his entire itinerary in Singapore. In fact, Prime Minister has been meeting all the top leaders, not just his counterpart Prime Minister Wong. He's met Senior Minister Lee Hsien Loong as well, and Minister Emeritus meeting is also taking place. But this is a particular meeting that is taking place with Tharman Shanmugaratnam, who's Singapore's first elected by a landslide president, also of Indian origin, although he's born in Singapore itself. The PM had earlier in the day signed the visitors' book at the Singaporean Parliament House, and now another visitors' book being signed here. Prime Minister Modi has been in Singapore since yesterday, where he's had, like I said, extensive meetings with his counterpart, but also with other leaders in Singapore, including this one, with President Tharman Shanmugaratnam, who's a well-known economist with a lot of history as far as Singapore's governance is concerned, and before that, its administration, including financial administration. So that's also part of Prime Minister Modi's Singapore visit, the meeting with Singapore's President Tharman Shanmugaratnam. Getting back to the Paralympics, India's Harbinder Singh also bagged a gold medal in para-archery in individual recurve open event to become the first archer to win gold at the Paralympics. Harbinder Singh defeated Lukas Cicek of Poland 6-0 to clinch the gold medal. Now, with this achievement, Harbinder has become the first and only Indian archer to win a gold medal at the Paralympics and the Olympics as well, and he secured medals in 2 consecutive editions of the Paralympic Games. This has added to India's archery success in Paris, where Rakesh Kumar and Sheetal Devi earlier won a bronze medal in the mixed team compound open. And India's President Draupadi Murmu has congratulated Harbinder Singh on winning a gold medal in the men's individual recurve para-archery event at the Paris Paralympics. She said, and I quote, "My heartiest congratulations to Harbinder Singh on winning gold medal in the men's individual recurve para-archery event at Paris 2024 Paralympics. This is Harbinder's second medal at consecutive Paralympics and first ever gold medal in para-archery for India. His exceptional performance under tremendous pressure is inspirational. I wish it brings more glory to the tricolour." And India's PM has also congratulated Harbinder Singh for the achievement. He said, and I quote, "A very special gold in para-archery. Congratulations to Harbinder Singh for winning the gold medal in the men's individual recurve open at #Paralympics 2024. His precision, focus and unwavering spirit are outstanding. India is very happy with his accomplishment. #Cheer for Bharat. And now let's get you some inputs from the world of entertainment as well. Well, Hollywood actors Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix lit up the Venice Film Festival red carpet on Wednesday, premiering the eagerly awaited sequel to Todd Phillips' dark supervillain origin story, Joker. Joker, folie à deux, which is basically means mental infliction which is shared by two people who are proximate to each other, picks up where the original movie ended. The 2019 film won the cherished Golden Lion Award at Venice in 2019 itself. It sees Phoenix, who won a Best Actor Oscar for his performance in the original film, reprise his role as the crazed Arthur Fleck, while Lady Gaga joins the cast as Harley Quinn. Joker, folie à deux, is one of 21 titles competing for the Golden Lion Best Picture prize this year, with the winner revealed on the 7th of this month.
The dream was not inspired the movie. The dream was just I had this dream that I was performing as Joker, doing songs, and I just called Todd because I thought there might be something there, and there wasn't.
Well, yeah, it's something that Joaquin and I talked about all the time on the set of the first movie, was this idea that Arthur has music in him. And I think, if you remember the first film, there are moments where he is just dancing for whatever the reason be. He's sort of a way of expressing what he's feeling.
I think the way that we approached music in this film was very special and extremely nuanced. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is actually a musical in a lot of ways. It's very different. The way that music is used is to really give the characters a way to express what they need to say, because the scene and just the dialogue is not enough.
So Lady Gaga finally going gaga on the big screen. That'll be something to watch. Now, the 49th edition of the Toronto Film Festival returns to Toronto on Thursday in full swing after 2 tumultuous years of Hollywood disruption. Celebrities including Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Bruce Springsteen, Sydney Sweeney, Selena Gomez and Robbie Williams are expected on the red carpet. The festival CEO, Cameron Bailey, said that the lines between streaming services and the big screen are increasingly blurring, and the film industry, including actors, should be prepared to adapt to these changes in both film production and viewing.
Typically, we have over 100, 130 films that are available for sale at our festival. That's the case this year as well. Many of those will sell to the global streaming platforms. And that's a new part of the economy of film, and it's something that everyone's reacting to. The other thing is that it's not just movies at our festival anymore, it's series as well.
Well, teachers from ancient times established a deep and abiding tradition of hand-holding, mentoring and inspiring students in their pursuit of knowledge. Throughout India's rich history, teachers have occupied a central and revered position. And this day marks their immeasurable contribution, because India is celebrating National Teachers' Day today. And that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code on the screen and download the app now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.